Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mitch Brem, and I work for Cincinnati Children's Hospital as the principal trainer for ClinDoc, Stork, and clinical case management. I'm here in this pre recorded video because I'm actually in Hawaii currently. My wife and I are having our 10-year anniversary trip that we have had planned for at least 2 years now. So I do hope that you are enjoying your time at the workshop. I know that my wife and I are certainly enjoying our time out here in Hawaii. One thing that I'm very passionate about, and that's the reason why I wanted to have a pre recorded video for you about, is classroom engagement. It's one of my passions. And I think it's one area where we struggle a lot across the board. A little bit about my background so that you can kind of get some understanding of where I'm coming from is that I was an elementary teacher and I taught grades 3, 4, and 5. I also was an innovative learning specialist. And what that really meant was that I worked with teachers and, administrators integrating technology into schools. I did a lot of professional development and training with teachers and administrators, working with them to help integrate Google Apps for Education into classrooms and a lot of other software and applications as well. Because all my schools that I worked with were one to one, which means teacher and students have devices in their classroom. It was a very rewarding job, and it allowed me to understand a lot of different ways to get students and teachers engaged in the learning process. And obviously, as I said in my introduction, I'm currently the principal trainer for ClinDoc, Stork, and clinical case management. I want you to take a moment and think about this quote from John Dewey from about 100 years ago. He says, "If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow." Think about that. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. Think about when you were in school. Think about your children if you have them, about what type of education they're getting now and how they're being taught. And I almost can guarantee you that a lot of the same things are occurring in their classrooms as they did 100 years ago. So, why aren't we changing some of the processes that we have to help them exceed in the classroom and make it more relevant for them in this day and age? It's a great quote by John Dewey. It's 100 years old. So, why aren't we changing some of the techniques that we're using in the classroom? That's really my message for today. And I want you to continue to think about that as we move forward in this presentation. Here's a great example. When I was first hired on at Cincinnati Children's, I had an RN class. The old format consisted of a 4-hour inpatient RN class. I know that's a short amount of time to get a lot of information in, but that's what I was given, and I had to work with that. And the format for that was a 2-hour lecture followed by 2 hours of practice exercises. And you can imagine this is my students' reactions in the classroom: boring, disengaged, not wanting to be there. So I had to do something about that. And so I used my background as far as being a teacher and integrating technology into schools to come up with a new format that's not yet to my needs and to my standards, but it's a work in progress. So here's my new format. It's still 4 hours, but I chunk my material into 4 different sections. So we teach, then they practice. So what that means is, let's say I'm with my inpatient RNs, I talk about the admission navigator. So I teach about that. And then I have them practice about the admission navigator. And then I come back and I teach more material. And then I have them practice that material. What does that do for the students in your classroom? It helps them retain more information and it helps them stay engaged longer. Why? It's because they don't have to sit there listening to an instructor talk for hours upon hours. They get a little bit of information, then they get hands-on practice. It works, trust me. And so, yes, I have classroom engagement from my students in my classroom. But I'm still not satisfied. There is more work to be done. And that's why I enlisted one of my great applications that I used while I taught and while I did professional development and training. It's something called Socrative. It also can be called Socrative, however you want to call it. It's tomato, tomato, Socrative, Socrative. And as you can see on this presentation, it says Meet Socrative. It says your classroom app for fun, effective engagement, and on-the-fly assessments. It's a great application to use because it's easy for people to use, it gets them engaged, and people have fun with it. So I want all of us to have a little fun, and I want you to experience what Socrative has to offer. So here's what I would like you to do. On the screen here, you see a short link, goo.gl/SWDBQY. I'd like you to open up your device, whatever that may be, a laptop, a phone, or whatever you may have, and enter that into your address bar. And when you do so, please make sure the last 3 letters are capitalized because it is case sensitive. So that address again is goo.gl/SWD, capital B, capital Q, capital Y. Once you have entered that in, you will come to a screen that has the student login. And in the room name, you are going to type CCHMCCAD. That again is CCHMCCAD. And I'll keep this up on the screen for just a few seconds longer so that you can get in. And my pal Janet, who's with me today, will answer any questions you may have, or if you are stuck while you are doing this. It's pretty easy to get into it, and hopefully you are not finding any issues currently. So what's going to happen is when you get into the room, you are going to have a 5-question quiz. And it's about Halloween. We're going to have a little fun. It's a student-paced quiz. So you're going to answer a question, and once you're done, it takes you to the next question. And when you're finished, you are finished, which is wonderful. So I'm going to give you the next few minutes to complete this 5-question quiz, and then Janet will go over some of the awesome things that come along with Socrative. So while you are doing that, I'm going to relax here on the beach and take a little siesta in my hammock.